Welcome back to ADHD Whiskey, everybody. If you're new to the channel, or if you're a returning viewer, my name is Matt. Today's video was a mashup of a 1 ounce Wednesday and a bourbon skirmish. Just like last week, I'm going to take 2 blind samples out of this box, and they're going to go head to head. Mano-y-mano. Whiskey-o-whiskey-o. I have no idea if the 2 samples I randomly choose will be comparable in the least bit, but that won't stop me. So let's pour them, let's review them, and compare them and score them. First sample. America. Second sample. America. Clunk. It's a big bitch. Now that the samples are poured and the box is floored, let's do a little investigative journalism with our nose and mouth. Glass number 1. Apples. Dragon apples. Ooh, very appley, like an apple orchard. Like the apple orchard that you visited when you were a child. They had the farm on it and they handmade their own apple cider. That's what this smells like. Wow. It's like a cinnamon apple cider treat. This whiskey is incidering a riot in my mouth. So luckily when it comes to whiskey, I'm a pro-tester. Get it? A protester. I test whiskey for a living, professionally. It's like an aged yet fresh apple cider to bourbon. Second glass. It's like fruit punch went to bad. Like a delicious alcoholic, juicy red fruit punch that maybe sat out in the sun, out in the hammock. It's like a super thick cherry syrup with some blackberry in there. Little blackberry, a little raspberry. It's very jammy, very jam-like. It smells like a sexy breakfast. This reminds me of either a really good MGP bourbon or possibly a Buffalo Trace, but I'm leaning a bit towards the MGP side. The red licorice that I typically get on delicious MGP bourbon, the good stuff, the good red licorice, the Australian red licorice, mate. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. That's what this is reminding me of. I do love both noses, but if I had to lean in a certain direction, I'd probably lean towards glass number 2. It seems to be the darker, more complex of the pair. But I can't decide a winner without tasting. That would be unfair. Number 1 down the hatch. Ooh. Yes. It's prickly. It's like skinny fat prickly. It's not thick. It's not thin. Kind of tasted like copper. If Duracell made whiskey, it would be glass number 1. The apple stuff that I got on the nose doesn't necessarily transfer perfectly to the palate. I can kind of see how the apple developed into what is on the palate, but it's not necessarily like a mirror image. Unless, of course, it's at one of those fun houses that aren't so fun. Like the mirrors that make you look fatter than you actually are when you don't need that. You don't need that in your life. Fun house my ass. Second sip. Oh, wait. There's like almost like a grapefruitiness. There are some very strange notes happening here, and I can't quite put my finger on them. It's like a cinnamon that's mixed with something else. It's like a weird cinnamony something. Weirdly enough, the more I taste and nose it, the more I don't like it, which is strange. Typically, I learn to like things more than I learn to dislike things, but Something about this is kind of giving me the weirds, but at the same time I'm enjoying it and wondering what it is, and I wish I had more of it so I could continue to explore it. Final sip and then we'll give it a score, and then at the end of the video we'll reveal the pour. Glass 1 is super unique. It is kind of bright and shiny and brash. The way that it develops on the palate is sort of like an unfinished story. Like you get to the peak, like the part of the story that is the problematic part. What's that called? Shit, I don't remember. The issue, the problem, the conflict, I don't know. But anyway, it's like you get to that point and then you're like, then you shut the book and you never revisit it. It just kind of ends on a bad note and leaves the taste in your mouth that you wish would develop into something different, but it never does. Do I dislike this pour? No. Do I think it's great? No. Do I think that it is good? Yes, with a caveat that it might not be good. You know what I mean? It's like, it makes you sit there and think for a second, like, do I like this? Yes. But also, am I happy that I can go to glass 2 now? Absolutely. Therefore, I will give this first glass a score of 6.9. It's pretty good. Pretty good, bordering on good. Second glass. Ooh, whoa. It's almost like a cherry chocolate cake. It's like a Molly's cupcake in Chicago, and you go in there and you bite into your first Molly's cupcake and you're like, good grief, there's filling in here. They filled up the cupcake with deliciousness. Glass number 2, dumb hatch. Oh. Ooh. Wow. We're exchanging pleasantries. It is dark and thick and possibly old. This could possibly be a well-aged pour, but it's so chocolate heavy that it's hard to distinguish if there's age here. It feels like somebody injected this whiskey with an incredible amount of flavor. It's very bold. It's not creamy like I hoped it would be. It's a bit brash and a bit like harsh and a bit just in your face. What is that? I feel like the palate on this is closed off. It's like a compressed tasting file that is all this like dark chocolate and cherry and wood, but it's just squeezed down so thick that it only hits part of the palate, but the part of the palate it hits with a sledgehammer, and it kind of explodes in the mouth, but only from like this part of the tongue, like, There's like a stripe of the tongue that tastes it. The front of the palate doesn't get it. The mid palate doesn't get it. The back mid palate gets it. Then the back of the palate doesn't get it. It's just a stripe, like a streak of flavor, just building on that exact point of the tongue, and then just like giving off gases of just flavor kind of like bubbling up into the roof of the mouth. What in the earth is that? I feel like some water added to this might change it and turn it into something that is just like freer. Like you walk outside, breasts abound, barefoot into the grass. You're grounding with earth. Oxygen, fresh air, the clouds, the birds taking pictures of you to post on the internet. Jerks. Friggin' jerks. But for that moment in time, you're free. Like Vin Diesel. And those 9 seconds or less when he's through the quarter mile, you know? That's what I wish for this. But instead it's closed off and like so just crunched down. I feel like this has the potential to be extraordinary, or that it is considered to be extraordinary, but unfortunately, I'm being overcritical of it. I don't think I'm being overcritical though. I think that where I'm sitting here on this stool in this garage, I'm making a fair point. It's just hitting and sticking. Why does it do that? I'm gonna say this about glass number 2. I don't think this is a blended product. I don't think it's something that a distillery put together and then sent out. The reason I'm saying that is because like the palate movement on this is non-existent. There's a little bit at the front of the palate at the very beginning of the tasting session. It like kind of leaks out to the front of the palate a little bit, but then quickly dissipates, and you're just left with like a patch. It's like one of those laser weapons that you could focus on a little area, but the little area that it was focused on got friggin' devastated. because laser weapons are badass apparently. Don't know, never shot one off. I feel like this must be a single barrel of some kind. I feel like this was a barrel that was picked that somebody couldn't pass up. Or possibly some sort of like witchcraft, wizardry, double oaked thing tricking me, but I'm also smarter than it because I see right through it like a glass wall. And what I see through that wall is its intentions, and its intentions were meant for trickery. And I see you. I have to be honest, this has the most potential out of anything I've ever tasted because of the quality of the flavors. It's that dark chocolate oak. It's like cherries and coffee grounds and all this potential, but it's packed together and stuffed into one tiny quadrant of the mouth. By quadrant, I mean a part of it. I know a quadrant means one of four, so that wouldn't be accurate. What do I give this pour? 7.95. It is very, very good, bordering on great, but I feel like whatever is in that sample bottle, whatever distillate that is with the age on it, has the potential to be some of the best stuff I've ever tried. But unfortunately, this exact version of whatever that is just missed the mark by quite a bit. What were in these glasses? Let's find out. Both of these feel like they could have been so much better had they been better. In sample number 1, we were drinking, oh, it's a Bill Kavanaugh sample, Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. No kidding, 109.6 proof. The Michter's Barrel Strength Rye that I got from last year, also kind of weirdly different and not my favorite Michter's Barrel Strength Rye I've ever had. I did say it was good and I did enjoy it, but different. That makes a bit of sense for glass number 1. But what I'm really interested to see here is what in the heck was in glass number 2. And when I pull out this sample bottle, I'll be as surprised as you. Glass 2 was A. Smith Bourbon Cask Strength, 135.1 proof. So I believe that's Buffalo Trace distillate that's been re-distilled. That's super interesting. I don't know the age on this, but it can't be that old. That might be my very first ever A. Smith Bourbon Cask Strength. That's super interesting. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Leave a comment down below. Do you own an A. Smith Bourbon Cask Strength bourbon? And if you do, have you ever dabbled with adding a drop or two of water to your pour? And if so, did that increase your score? Does it make it better? I feel like it would make this better. My name is Matt, this is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, keep your head in the clouds but your mind on making sure that your children aren't hanging things from plugs, because my kids tried to murder me. And do I mean that? Not literally, but also I might literally mean that. They didn't mean to hurt me, but they definitely meant to hang a big metal necklace from the plug of my beard trimmer. I had my beard trimmer plugged into the wall in the bathroom upstairs, and my youngest daughter had this necklace and big metal kind of like chain thing on it, you know, like the necklace portion, and then she just hung it up over my plug for my beard trimmer. Then I trimmed my beard, and then I went to put my beard trimmer back in the drawer, which I should have done in the first place apparently. Had I done that, this would not have happened. But I did not see the necklace hanging from the plug. Unplug it from the wall. The necklace drops, ping, down, because it was up here on the plastic. Pull it, drops down, hits the 2 prongs, boom! Fireballs. It literally like welded the metal parts of the necklace to the 2 prongs of the plug. I don't think that plug is ever gonna work ever again. So if you have young kids, maybe just remind them that a plug plugged into the wall is not meant for hanging anything on. Unless of course they want their parents to be electrocuted to death. My kids did it, so yours don't have to. And I'll leave it at that. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Love you all. Goodbye. Good night. See you later.